Hi, I'm Agnese, Agnes in English, or Ines in Spanish. Knowing different languages is not just a speaking ability. It allows us to have more than one personality, even more than one soul. Bilingual Lucia will explain how she easily switches from a language to another. Enjoy!
Do you know how each family has their own kind of language? Like when a member of the family says a specific word and everybody knows what he or she is talking about? Well, in my family, it works just like that. With a little different that each thing has not one, but two names, including myself. You can call me Lucia or Lucia, and I will either way turn my head. Let me explain myself better. My father, who is Spanish, emigrated here looking for a job and met my Italian mother. Long story short, after a few years, I was born. So I had the luck of being born and raised bilingual, speaking two different languages at home, which gave me not only a double mother tongue, but also a double mentality and two cultures I can identify with. In what language do you think? This is the most frequently asked question that I get as a bilingual. My answer to this question is always, instinctively, both. How can anyone think in two languages, you may ask? The first thing to consider is that often thinking can be independent of language. See, many cognitive scientists suggest that thinking first occurs in mentalies. This is a hypothetical, non-verbal language in which concepts are represented in the mind. It occurs before the representation we are thinking about are turned into English, Spanish, or Italian, for example. Let's think about it this way. Have you ever experienced that frustrating moment when you're thinking about an object but can't find its name whatsoever, even though you're absolutely sure what you're thinking about? See, that is mentalese. So when a bilingual is walking down the street, riding a bike, or exercising, her or his thoughts don't have to necessarily be in one of the two languages. It can just be mentalese. Following this first train of thought, there come the thoughts that actually require language. We have to keep in mind that bilingual people use their languages in different settings of life, for different purposes, and with different people. So my answer, I think in both languages, should not be that surprising. If I am at school, for example, and I'm thinking about a question I want to ask the teacher, I think in Italian, because I'm planning to speak in that language. If, on the other hand, I'm with my Spanish cousin, and this is her, by the way, and I'm thinking about the latest piece of gossip I want to tell her, I think in Spanish. Thinking in more than one language is not something anyone has to take for granted. It requires a very deep knowledge of the language that even bilingual people have to learn. I got lucky because my father has always done everything he could to make my brother and I develop our Spanish minds as well as our Italian ones. His favorite activity to do was to prepare a little game for us. So for example, when we were little, we used to play this game. He would write on a post-it the first letter of a word, and then he will ask us to attach it to the thing whose Spanish name started with that letter. So for example, if I had the letter M, I will have attached it to Mama, to my mother, who is sitting right there. That forced our minds to think in Spanish, because if we had thought about the name of something in Italian, we would have attached the post-it on the wrong thing. This way, we mastered our Spanish thinking while also having a lot of fun. However, there was also a second reason for making us play this game. He wanted to make us develop our Spanish self. Yes, that is a thing. Bilingual people have different personalities or behave differently depending on which language they are speaking. Let me make an example. Love. Love. Okay. In Italian, we have two ways of saying I love you. One is ti voglio bene, and it is more family and friends type of I love you. It is sweeter and it's like saying I care deeply about you. And one is ti amo, the romantic I love you, the one for boyfriends and girlfriends. In Spanish, we only have one sentence, te quiero. It can have both of the Italian meanings, depending on who you're saying it to, but doesn't distinguish them into different sentences. This can have repercussions on any bilingual person, even on myself. I found that when I'm speaking Spanish, for example, with my family, and these are them, I feel more attached to people that I love. And it doesn't matter if I care about them in a romantic way or not. They're special to me, and I feel love for them. On the other hand, when I speak in Italian, I feel the need to separate those loves so that my friends and family are not on the same level as my boyfriend. This leads me to be more affectionate and loving when I'm speaking Spanish than when I'm speaking Italian. This is just an example, but that could be applied to any situation. This is why it is so important to be able to speak and think in another language. Changing your linguistic register causes you to change personalities, discovering parts of yourself you will have never have thought you will have. Having a second language makes you more aware of yourself and lets you have a deeper connection with your own feelings and thoughts. As Charlemagne said, to have a second language is to have a second soul. The good news is, you can be bilingual too. See, there are different types of bilingualism. I fall in the category of early simultaneous bilingualism, meaning that I learned both of my language before the age of 6 at the same time. But you can be a late bilingual, so that you learn your second language after the age of 6. Or maybe an additive bilingual, so that your second language is like an asset to your first one. So I strongly, strongly recommend you to learn a second language. Not only because it will open your minds to different cultures, but because it will make you know yourself better, discover personalities you will never have thought you will have. Trust me, you will be surprised. Thank you.